Okay, what you are looking at here isn't an alien, it's actually a human. That's the very first thing that I want to start off by making on this video. This is a human. What I want to explain today, well, it's not what I want, it's what I feel that I've came to the realization this week. And a big question that I've been asking myself during this week, as I've been having my conversations and discovery, outbound dialing, stuff like that, is during the conversation and as it's unraveling, as you're getting to know the person, they're understanding how you operate and there's that dynamic. The question that I've had during these conversations is what determines the truth during the conversation? How do we know what's right from what's wrong? Because it's very difficult to understand what's objective reality and what's subjective. Because as humans, we all have our biases, we all have emotions, we all have past experiences, we all have different lenses that we basically put in front of our conversation, and we skew the conversation that way. And so it can become very difficult to think objectively without knowing what determines the truth. And as of right now, one of the closest observations that I've made, I'm about to cover it here. So, number one, as I'm going through discovery, the way that I think about it is I'm really just trying to gain clarity on the person's situation, right? Whether it's what they do for work, if they have investments, it's just relevant to the offer. Once you get to know the offer, you understand the ideal client they're targeting. And from that ideal client that they're targeting, you can basically lay down the situation through that ideal client that is being targeted by the offer. So you can ask the right questions at the top of the discovery. So that is number one, and that's how I think about the discovery. It's just laying the foundation and understanding who I'm speaking to and just gaining clarity by asking them questions so I can gain clarity myself. By you asking questions and you gaining clarity on their situation, they also gain clarity in return in relevance to their situation. Number two is there are 2 points that I love to always point out during the conversation, during the discovery, which is number one, where the person is at, but number two, the goal and the vision that they have in mind. This is very important. There needs to be 2 separate identities broken down during the discovery from what I've realized so far. And the reason for that is because when a person lays out their goal, they lay out their desired situation that they're looking to get to. What they are indirectly telling you is they are looking to become a different person as a result of it. Because in order to achieve that goal, that sense of self, you need to adopt a different identity in order to get there. Now, most of us aren't consciously aware of that, right? We go ahead and set out a goal. Our identity isn't aligned with that goal, which means our actions aren't also aligned with the goal, which makes it very difficult in order to achieve that state. And that's when there's a lot of frustration. When we point out where we're at in the conversation, we're asking the prospect where it is they're looking to get to, and the frustration doesn't come from neither of these situations. From what I've observed is the real frustrations, the bottlenecks, come from the journey in between. And this is really where a lot of prospects experience their frustration. When they have a situation in the present state, they have a goal that they're looking to get to, they've set their aim, they've set their targets, and the frustration and the implications of them not getting there is the biggest frustration. For example, a big one for me right now, I've set a goal of getting to 50K per month. I'm right now sitting around 5, 10K on average. And the frustration doesn't come from neither of these states, but all of the frustration comes from everything in between. On your attempts that you've tried in order to get there, how you failed, the problems, that right there is the meat of the conversation. And so going back to tailor everything off, what I mentioned in the very beginning, which is what determines the truth during the conversation and how do we know what's right for wrong? Well, the only way we can determine the truth during the conversation is by creating the alignment of the goal. The goal is the one that determines the truth. So the goal is compromised of a person's, there's a lot more to it, but it's basically just a person's beliefs. And there's so much more to it. Characteristics, and the actions that, well, their skill set that they need to take in order to actually achieve that, right? Because in order for them to achieve a goal, they need to become that type of person that attracts the goal. And so Jim Rohn said it very beautifully on basically a podcast I was listening to of him, a seminar, and he said, I actually wrote it down. He said, success is something you attract. It isn't something you pursue. And what he was really saying there is that if it is the case that you're looking to get to a goal, it's not something you go ahead and pursue. Rather, you become the person that can attract that goal, and then the goal will just come to fruition over time. So, all of this to say, during the discovery, from what I've recognized, you understand the person's situation, you understand where it is that they're looking to get to, you understand the implications of it. And when you start doing surgery on the person, you start offering them new perspectives, you ask them new questions from angles they haven't considered, which is frame. They have to come from a position of you helping the person understand that they have a goal that they're looking to get to, and you need to help them understand their blind spots that they're currently not seeing. Right? You need to help them understand their blind spots that they're currently not seeing, because now that you've got the goal, you have the goal that holds the weight, and that could determine the truth when you're asking certain questions, so you can do surgery on the prospect so you can basically build them up into the identity of the person that can achieve the goal. So by the time you come into pitch, they are ready and they are calibrated to listen to the pitch. And so all of a sudden, when you're now basically breaking down how you operate, how you can help solve their problem, they are now ready to internalize it because you've helped them throughout the conversation. I'm not here to obviously give all of the strategies and tactics. I'm more just explaining right now how I'm viewing the discovery at the moment. And that's something very, very big that I've recognized, is that my opinions don't matter. The prospect's opinions really don't matter. It's the goal that determines the truth that really matters. An example that I'm thinking off the top of my mind is if you have a person that is going to the gym and they want to get really, really big and they're really, really skinny, which is where I used to be back in when I was a lot younger, I would get really frustrated considering I wasn't able to put in a lot of muscle mass. Well, going to the gym is one thing, but I wasn't eating a lot. So I wanted to get really, really big, but I only wanted to eat one meal a day. Well, there is a massive misalignment there between getting big and your actions that you need to do in order for that goal to come to fruition. So that is a very good example, right? You want to go to the gym, you want to get big, but you don't want to eat a lot. You want to get big, you want to go to the gym, but you don't want to lift a lot of weights, right? So you want the outcome, but your preferences are outweighing your desired state. So that's basically how I'm thinking about the discovery right now. And shout out to Christian for that, by the way. He told me about that. But basically just helping the person understand where they're at, where it is they're looking to get to, and then you can just have the goal determine the identity they need to become, and then you can go ahead and use that as leverage to help the prospect align their identity during the conversation. So that's pretty much it for today.